right, welcome to my channel, my humble channel here in Sweden, to Mr. Larry Johnson with experience from working within the CIA and also the American State Department. First question that raises up something that I didn't know about personally until a YouTuber named Barry Cunningham explained to me what he meant with meetings called SCIFs.
Yeah, well, it's a Secure Classified Information Facility, SCIF.
Yeah.
So any contractor that does work for the U.S. government on classified matters will have to have a SCIF. It's a place where you can handle classified information.
All right.
And within the SCIFs, it can be classified at secret or at top secret levels. That's it. It's just a simple acronym.
What he described, of course, that was his opinion, this Barry Cunningham character, which it seemed to be an informed guide person. He said that, for example, Speaker Johnson went into one of these SCIF meetings with one opinion and came out with another.
Up on Capitol Hill, they're the House and the Senate, so they're on different sides of the building.
Right.
There is in the Capitol a SCIF, a place where you can handle classified information, get classified briefings, where members of the intelligence community can come in. In fact, most of those, both the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence and the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, are staffed by former members of the intelligence community.
Right.
Yeah, so I heard that whatever they did, said it was portrayed that it, frightened him, woke him up, whatever. He was fed a pack of lies.
It's some kind of lobbyism, I guess, that this means, but I might be wrong.
Well, there is a tight, let's call it nexus or relationship between members of Congress, the lobbyists that represent, like Lockheed Martin, General Dynamics,
The weapon industry.
Yeah, the whole defense industry. In fact, when I lived in Bethesda, Maryland, my next door neighbor was the owner and operator of the largest defense industry lobbying firm in Washington. So it was I considered him a friend. But his job was to almost 2-3 times a week hosting dinners, fundraisers, and for a member of Congress, and then all these people that work for, let's say, General Dynamics or Lockheed Martin, Raytheon. Right. They would come and with their checks, and they'd give the money. It's just the money making machine. It's you don't call it money laundering. This is really how bribery is done.
Right.
They legalize bribery. So.
Yeah. Well, we were seeing we've come across some reports from the weapon industry has increased with some 7% from last year in growth financially, and also it might be appropriate to mention that there's an oligarch family in Sweden called the Wallenbergs. They control Saab and Ericsson Telecom, and they are part owners. They're big owners in Raytheon, among other things. They deliver electronics to General Dynamics, Northrop, you name it. And Saab, is stock value, the Swedish Saab military industrial complex, is doing really well on the stock exchange. So
and nothing like a good war to lubricate the skids.
Yeah. 95 billion from U.S. lawmakers this week.
Just out of curiosity, this Wallenberg family, was Raoul Wallenberg related to him?
Yeah, long in the past, but he was a good guy.
Yeah.
He was a diplomat and tried to travel and stop wars and things like that. Of course, he got murdered.
Right.
So,
he played a major role in saving Jews in Hungary.
right, exactly. And he disappeared somewhere, dead.
Yeah, the Soviets snatched him up, reportedly.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the story, true story about that. Okay, let's go to, I want also to highlight what FISA means, FISA. Many Swedes don't know it exists, but it does. What is that? Explain that to us.
So the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, was passed, 1980s, maybe 1970s. It's been around for a while, and it was initially put in place so that to create a mechanism for spying on foreigners, but that were in the United States, and that it might entail spying on Americans.
Right.
So to just spy on a foreigner, you don't need to go to get permission, but to spy on a foreigner that's in contact with American citizens, yes, you do. And so this was expanded in ways and abused. The whole system was completely abused in 2016 against Donald Trump. That they fabricated. The FBI actually fabricated claims of cooperation between Carter Page, for example, and then the Russians. And they lied before a federal judge, and then they got permission to spy on him, collect all of his communications. And same with George Papadopoulos and with Michael Flynn. So the process has been greatly abused. And, the intelligence community, they like being able to go out and, spy on Americans. That's really what it's covered for. I know that I was told that in 2015, there was John Brennan, then the head of the CIA, set up a task force at CIA. And a task force means you bring people from other agencies together at the CIA, and they were actually collecting intelligence on all of the presidential candidates that were running at the time. Because if you recall, in the summer of 2015, it was Donald Trump and Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz, and I forget who else is running, but and then the Bernie Sanders, the Democrat, and I was told that the CIA was spying on all of them, gathering intelligence that was being passed to the Clinton campaign.
Well, Bernie Sanders was a little bit of a socialist, right? Or
no, a whole lot of a socialist. Not a little bit, a whole lot.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's a little difficult for us to follow the international politics, especially from the United States, being that not all information is accessible at all. And one of the things now that sort of surprised me a little bit, in this new bill that they passed in U.S. Congress for this enormous amounts of billions of dollars for Ukraine and 26 billion for Israel, 8 billion for Taiwan. It's also, they placed new sanctions on Iran and Russia, and they want to ban TikTok.
Yeah, posing sanctions on China. Hey, United States is committing suicide. That's the only way to look at this. First, with respect to sanctions, I defy anybody to give me an example in history where economic sanctions have proven effective in bringing about a change in the government or its policies to benefit the country that was imposing the sanctions. But I think we've seen time after time that, if anything, the sanctions are counterproductive. So these are done really more for domestic political consumption. They create the impression that the government's doing something, acting tough. Meanwhile, I think particularly the Chinese, it just irritates the hell out of them. Yeah. It's an insult. And, the United States is really putting itself in a position when it's trying to use economic sanctions, it's taking advantage of what has been the dominant role of the US dollar as an international reserve currency. But all of that use of the dollar and reliance on it's based on faith. It's sort of like religion.
Yeah.
You believe, not that it is, you believe that the US dollar is the best. Well, once you start destroying that foundation of belief, once you create incentives for countries like Russia and China to develop alternative currencies, as BRICS is doing,
right,
and to move away from the dollar, then all of a sudden, dollar-based sanctions are no longer relevant.
Yeah,
and that's where the United States, instead of is so desperate to try to hang on to its power as the global colossus, that it's making these kinds of, I'd call them, stupid mistakes, or self-inflicted wounds.
Yeah.
The money that's being allocated to Ukraine, Israel, China, in particular in the case of Ukraine, most of that money is going to those defense corporations we talked about, the Northrop Grummans, the Raytheons, the General Dynamics, and the Lockheed Martins. It's going to them. It's not actually going to Ukraine. It's not being dumped on the desk of Zelensky, so that he can go buy some more cocaine and invest in some additional real estate in the Caribbean or something.
Yeah, we know that Zelensky recently purchased another property somewhere. I don't remember, but there's a lot of money flowing. And like you said, Victoria Nuland, now she's, I guess, disappeared a little bit, but she said it openly. Well, the money is going to our industry. It's not a gift to Ukraine. It's to our own weapon industry, and she's right.
Well, and in fact, what has the let's call it the warehouses, the stockpiles of armaments, where there are 155 millimeter shells, the 155 millimeter howitzers themselves, the barrels on those guns. A lot of this has been, depleted. And by virtue of being depleted, they've got to replenish. And when you're replenishing, you're buying something newer and ostensibly better and definitely more expensive.
Yeah,
that's it's a grift. Really, it's a bribery scam.
Exactly, and it's usually, as usual, it's the taxpayers that basically, at the end of the day, get the bill. The taxpayers are paying.
Well, they are. There's also, let's call it the benefits. One of the things that has happened with the U.S. defense industry is they figured out back in the 1950s, going to the 1960s, that if they could put a factory or some element of, say Lockheed Martin or General Dynamics in a member of Congress's district, that would give them more incentive to vote for this money.
Yeah.
So you wind up having, like an M1 Abrams tank, when that was the thing they're building, it was scattered around, 6, 10 different states. It wasn't confined to just one location.
Well, Sweden, for example, purchased last year the Patriot air defense system from Raytheon, I guess, whoever. I think
it's jointly produced by Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, or one of those.
Exactly. For $3.5 billion, Sweden purchased some units. And now Stoltenberg, the head of NATO, is saying to all the European NATO members, you need to send all of this now to Ukraine. Don't keep them for your own defense. And but actually, our war minister, the Department of Defense, I guess, in Sweden, his name is Paul Johnson, by the way.
Must be a relative.
Probably not. But
yeah.
But anyway, he actually said, no. We have sent Robot 70, which is a Swedish anti-aircraft system that we could have developed instead of buying the aging Patriot systems that is very much more expensive and more complicated, and it's much harder to operate. But he actually came to his senses and said, no, I mean, we just bought the Patriot. We're training with it. We're not sending it to Ukraine. So a little credit to him for that. But instead, they're sending tanks and then sending, of course, guns, shells, to the tune of billions for the Swedish taxpayers to fund. So
hey, that's again, that's part of the whole, let's call it the grift of NATO.
Yeah.
So you want to expand NATO, and then all these countries have to get rid of, if they've in the past used any military equipment from what the former Soviet Union, hey, dump that and buy our stuff. Hey, it's a little more expensive, and we'll make you a loan, but hey, the interest rates, you'll be able to handle those. It's like take loan sharking with a mafia.
Yeah, it has a lot of similarities to that. And I was thinking another thing here. Actually, I had a friend of mine that wanted me to ask you a question, but I'll save that for the last one. Okay. Let's go to sanctions. Mm-hmm. I was thinking Iran. They can geographically pretty much control the Strait of Hormuz, which is a bottleneck. And some figures I've read is that about at least 20 to maybe 30% of the world's produced oil pass through.
Right.
And what would happen if Iran says, we'll stop it?
Right.
That'd be pretty serious.
No, it would cripple Europe and the United States, and China. Now, this is why China and Russia have been conducting joint naval military exercises with Iran going back 4 years, 5 years. So to keep the straits open. Mm-hmm. I think the goal, the objective for them is to, in the event that Iran is attacked, then Iran would be in a position to control which ship does get in and out of the Persian Gulf.
Yes.
So these ships carrying cargo and oil would be, I think, strictly monitored. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing that you see now in the Red Sea. So if it's an Israeli ship, if it's connected in any way to Israel, it's not getting into the Red Sea. And the United States has been unable to reopen the Red Sea. Yeah. So if we can't be
the Suez Canal leading in through the Red Sea with the Houthis and with all that as well. Right.
Well, I mean, just think, if the United States can't stop the Houthis, then how in the name of God are they going to stop the Iranians? The Iranians are far more capable, powerful militarily. Mm. So it's just it's an absurdity, and people haven't paid attention to it. The Iran, they always like to portray Iran as this virulently rabid group of fanatics, Muslims that are unreasonable, that they're crazy. And when you look at their actual actions, particularly over the last 10 years, they've been pretty responsible. They've not been out throwing firebombs, as it were. Yes, they have been fighting in Syria on behalf of Bashar al-Assad, attacking ISIS and these, Sunni Salafists, the Salafis, who are very, they are ultra-Orthodox Muslims, and they believe that they have a divine mission to kill the Shia Muslims. So this has been a long-standing problem going back really to 2003. After the U.S. invasion of Iraq and the emergence of ISIS then under the leadership of Zarqawi. And, that was what actually led to a split between Zarqawi and Osama bin Laden and Ayman Zawahiri, because Zarqawi was killing Shias His focus was killing Iraqi Shias, not the U.S. troops that had invaded. And bin Laden and Zawahiri were saying, hey, stop that. You need to, let's all come together as Muslims. Let's forget about this Shia Sunni thing. And Zarqawi was having none of it. So, this is, gosh, we're going on 20 years now with that.
Right. Yeah, it's been going on for a long time. The question that my colleague here in Sweden that I do a daily show with, his name is Øystein Rønne, was basically, like he formulated it when he knew that I was going to have you on, what is the connection, if we say so, between what's going on in Ukraine and what's going on Iran, Israel, Israel, Gaza, or Israel, Hamas, the Houthi rebels in Yemen? Is there like a red or a thread there, or something in common about how West is acting? What do you think on a complicated question like that?
Well, the West, particularly the United States, is seeing its power eroded in these two conflicts. The war between the Palestinians and the Israelis, it's been brewing for a long time. And when we go back and look at the events of October 7th, that was planned in advance. The Hamas, it was not just a spur of the moment thing, and it was not just chaotic. It was very deliberate. Their plan was to specifically attack Israeli military bases and both do kill capture missions. The same in the kibbutzim that surrounded the Gaza Strip, and grabbing hostages, as many as they could, in order to have bargaining leverage, or at least what they saw as bargaining leverage with the Israeli government. And the United States had no role in that, but the United States' role comes when Israel starts fighting and it cannot sustain a war effort like this on its own. It needs all the economic assistance for the United States.
Yeah.
Well, this ends up really being a diversion from the U.S. war in Ukraine, because the American-Israeli Public Affairs Committee, AIPAC, wields great influence in the Congress and, frankly, with the Biden administration. So they've essentially bought and own the U.S. Congress.
Yeah,
they can get what they want when they want, as they want.
Yeah.
So what this ends up. So it's not like the United States is sitting on an unlimited supply of, say, 155 millimeter shells or 2,000-pound bombs.
Right.
So what's are they going to give them to Ukraine, or are they going to give them to Israel? Well, Israel's the favorite child.
Yeah.
Ukraine is the redheaded stepchild, the adopted kid. So it's not, it doesn't get the favorite play, the best place at the table. And it doesn't get the first servings. It gets the leftovers, the sloppy seconds.
Yeah.
So that's so to that extent, this is not some part of some broad strategy on the part of the United States. If anything, it is the convergence of these issues of the Houthis, of the Iranians, of the Palestinian issue, with Ukraine. It has confronted the United States with the limits of its power. That's what's, I think, really going on.
Yeah, thank you for that insight. Another thing, I'll get you out on this. It came up some information that the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, was actually on the wanted list of assassinations, and this was not from Russia. Evidently, I don't have exact information about this, but it should be a Polish citizen that had spilled information to other in the intelligence community about the whereabouts of Zelensky and the possibility to take him out. Have you anything on that?
No, I don't. I think, what we're going to see in the coming months, so is Zelensky's in a precarious position. His elected term as president expires in May, and yet he has shown no intention of leaving.
Right.
And yet there are signs of growing discontent with him inside Ukraine. And so all of that, you can't be in that kind of militarized society and become that unpopular and hope to survive. I think I see a very realistic chance that he could be assassinated,
right,
or at least imprisoned, because at some point somebody's going to rise up and say, "Hey, we need to go a new direction."
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's amazing to see, though. I just looked through the redacted newsletter, and there's some pictures in that newsletter depicting the U.S. Congress waving Ukrainian flag.
Oh, yeah. Ridiculous.
Totally crazy. But the same thing goes on in Europe. I mean, it's and the mainstream media is a big, big factor of promoting this idea that they're doing the right thing by supporting this war in Ukraine, which is, in my opinion, a total disaster for the Ukrainian soldiers and citizens. A lot of them have deserted and capitulated and fled and so forth. We're seeing it daily now.
Yeah.
All right. That's about a half hour. I'll let you out of here. You have a meeting with Judge Napolitano in a few minutes.
Yeah. I do the judge every Monday morning, but I was glad to make time for you, Hakan.
Yeah, he's got a tremendous amount of views and followers. So I, of course, here in Sweden, follow it. All of the conversations that he has. He is always, like yourself, interesting and informed people on his show. And I think it's fantastic. So I wish you good luck for it today then. And I'm very happy that you came on my humble show. And I hope to see you again, Larry.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much. I appreciate the invite. Stay warm, huh?
Yeah, I'll try.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.